Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about the actual minimum system requirements for Fortnite. They have some stock examples of really low-end hardware on their website posted for what the minimum requirements are to run the game, but those are not accurate at all. Those specs will run the game at maybe 10 FPS, which nobody wants. So, if you're trying to build a PC or buy one, then most likely you're going into it with the hope that the game will run better than it does on whatever device you're moving up from, or just better than, say, 60 FPS in general. Because if you're not trying to beat 60 FPS, then you might as well just buy a console or something like that, unless you have future expandability in mind. Fortnite is not a very demanding game. It only really utilizes two CPU cores, so having anything over that is kind of unnecessary unless you're planning on recording or streaming or whatever. As far as the graphics card goes, in my opinion, the absolute lowest tier graphics card you should go with to run this game is the GTX 1060. Anything below that will run this game absolutely horribly, and it won't be a good experience for you. Obviously, the more you pay for your card, the better performance you'll get. Considering how stuttery and laggy the game is right now, the cheapest graphics card you could get that would get you a reasonably stable 144 FPS would be like the RX 570 from AMD. Maintaining a stable frame rate is almost impossible right now for anyone's computer, no matter how good and expensive the components are, because the game is just really, really badly optimized right now. They don't test any stuff before they put it into the game, so we're kind of left with test samples. Yet this game remains one of the most popular in the world. It's insane. Lucky us. But you would still get a lot more stability out of the more expensive components, obviously. As far as RAM goes, I read a post from one Epic employee that stated this game is incredibly RAM intensive in terms of both frequency and capacity. So at the bare minimum, I would say go with 60 gigabytes of RAM, and just anything that's DDR4 will be fast enough. The faster the better, just like with any other component in your computer, but no game is going to get a huge FPS boost just from having like way faster RAM. That's just not that important for FPS. For your power supply, go with anything that has any sort of certification. If it's uncertified, then it may present some safety hazards, like people have stories of their PSUs exploding, catching on fire, that type of thing. So anything with at least an 80 plus broad certification should be fine for you. And also make sure that your TDP for all of your components combined is under whatever the wattage is for your power supply unit. The type of storage you have will have pretty much no impact at all on your actual gameplay, but for boot times, whether it's bringing up your game or just starting up Windows from the start screen, SSDs will always be faster than hard drives for doing all that stuff. NVMe M.2 drives are the fastest type. They're also the most expensive. The speed difference between SSDs and NVMe drives and all that is really negligible. I would say just go with the cheapest SSDs you can find. It'll be plenty fast and they're not that expensive. And if you really think you're going to need a lot of storage because you're going to be making videos or any type of content, then for the majority of your storage, go with something less expensive, and then you can get a SSD or NVMe drive to boot up your stuff. That way you can go with a lower storage configuration of the more expensive drives, which would save you the most money while still maintaining very, very good performance. The motherboard you get pretty much doesn't matter at all. Just make sure that you get the right socket type so your CPU is actually compatible. But all the other extra stuff on higher end motherboards will not affect your actual gameplay at all whatsoever, or the speed of anything for that matter. Higher end motherboards just have extra expansion options, additional PCI slots, other ports, enhanced audio stuff, pretty much everything else about your computer that doesn't have to do with performance. The case also doesn't really matter. That's completely aesthetic and up to your personal taste. In case any of this wasn't clear enough to any of you, I'll put some more details of what I'm referring to in the description to help you out with picking your parts or your build. Also, it is definitely worth it to go the DIY route instead of buying a pre-built because they make it very, very simple and easy to put all this stuff together yourself. It's all of the parts that go together are very clearly marked on all products because there's a lot of competition in the market. So the companies that make all these different parts really want you, the normal consumer, to buy their stuff. If you need a mouse, keyboard, and monitor too, just save the most money you possibly can and still get functional stuff. Get a cheap mechanical keyboard. They sell them on Amazon and most likely eBay. They're very functional. They feel very similar to the higher end stuff. They just won't necessarily sound as nice or click as well. As for the mouse, many people have very differing opinions on what's good in a mouse and what's not. So just look up the market, look at all the different kinds of mice, and just see what you think you would like. I personally prefer lightweight mice, but they can get to be a little more expensive than traditional gaming mice. For your monitor, the brand doesn't matter pretty much at all. All of them are very, very similar. Figure out the refresh rate you want and go from there. Just Google whether it's 144, 60, God forbid, or 240, and go with whatever monitor is the lowest price at that refresh rate. Now is a better time than ever to build a PC to play anything on because they're coming out with new processors every single year, and so that makes the price of all the predecessors fall dramatically. So you can get some CPUs and GPUs from just a couple of years ago for several $100s off, and that makes a huge difference sometimes. I obviously hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I'll get back to it as soon as I see it. Also, just want to mention, I just switched to keyboard and mouse about 3 months ago, so that would be why the gameplay is less than stellar. I'll keep posting updated gameplay with each video, so hopefully that'll be a good representation of my progress over time after several months have passed. My username on everything is the same, aka Bard Allen, so if you want to catch me streaming or anything like that, then that's the name on Twitch, Instagram, and everything else. Bye bye.